This is Zichru Simanim Gemara Basra Daf Kuf Mem Hey. And Kuf Mem Hey, when you spell it out, spells Kama. Kama be'ivrit is wheat, a standing wheat field. So when we think of Daf Kuf Mem Hey, we just think of the word Kama, and right comes to mind the standing wheat field, which is not any old wheat field, but as we see over here, there's a chuppah taking place in the wheat field. Unfortunately, the chassan has dropped dead. But the Kala is saying that she wants to keep the Ma'is Kedushin because whether this is appropriate or not, but she says, I'm ready to get married. Tenuli Baili Vesmachimai, so I get to keep the Ma'is Kedushin. Number two is we have the best friend looking over and saying, hey, this wedding was a private event out in the fields, not like my wedding. And therefore, he does not have to give the sheshbinas back, the wedding bridegroom's gifts to the chassid. And finally, we have a sidebar conversation over here of this Talmud Chacham to the farmer, thanking the farmer that everyone needs the Bale Kama, everyone needs the owner of wheat, which we'll see is a reference to the Gemara. So Dav Kuf Mem Hey, we have our standing wheat field. We have the chuppah happening at the field, and the Kala keeping the Ma'is Kedushin as she's ready to get married. We'll discuss the machlekes, but if the chassan dies and the kala wants to get married, she keeps the ma'is kedushin. The best friend that's not going to be giving the sheshbinis, and the farmer being told that everyone needs the owner of wheat, as we'll see, refers to a certain mastery in Torah. So point number one is that this woman keeps the ma'is kedushin. Why? Because she says, "Tinuli ba'ili v'asachimai." So we have a brisa that says that if the marriage is not completed, we go Basra the minuk. Shmuel says that's only when the kala dies. But if the chassan dies, the money does not go back. Why? Because she says, I'm ready to get married. Says the Gemara, is this a machlekes Tanayim, as we have Rav Nassan and Yehuda Nasi that seem to disagree on this point? Says the Gemara, no. She dies, then he goes Basra the minuk. If he dies, then Rav Nassan says she keeps it because of the svara that we said that she could claim to nuli baili vazmachimai. I'm ready to get married. Rav Nasi says no, we still go Basar the minuk. Says the Gemara, no. It's not about machlekes Tanayim. Everyone could agree that if he dies, as we just said, like our picture of the kama, of the standing wheat, of the chuppah happening in the field, the ma'is kedushin doesn't go back. Machlekes is going to be where she dies, and the machlekes is whether kedushin latibuin nitnu or not, is the money for sinking to spend or not. Point number two is the sheshbines, that the groomsmen over here did not attend the wedding, and the wedding is different than his. Why? It's a private event over here called the sheshbines, that if you're there, you have to tell him to come to the wedding. If you did not attend, you have to repay the sheshbinis. The same is true if you hear the sound of the wedding happening. If you didn't hear it, you should have told him, and terumas islay. And therefore, in those cases, you would have to repay the sheshbinis. Could have deducted the value of the food that he eats, perhaps, says the Gemara. Says the Braisa that if Ruvain's first wedding was publicly and the friend's wedding was privately, like in our wedding over here, that the wedding's being happening at the wheat field, the Kama Dav Kuf Mem Hey, then he can respond, I'll do in public the way you do for me, and therefore the wedding is not as big of a affair and he doesn't have to pay him back. Finally, we had the farmer being told that everyone needs the Bali Kama, different types of Torah, says the Braisa, Ater Nichsin, Ater Pumi, rich in properties, publicly rich, that's Bali Gadais. Rich in coins, the money changers, rich in tequila oils, Bal Pilpul, and finally, rich in grain and rich in goods is Bal Shemuais, and Akal Tzrich Lamarichitio. Says everyone needs the owner of wheat. That's referring to the Gemara. Says Rav Koime Ani Varayim. That's the Baal Gemara. Rav argues, he says, because Gemara is hard. Toivle Mishnah Talmud is the Baal Mishnah. Rava says Fakir, the Baal Mishnah is frustrated, he only knows the basic items, but Baal Gemara is satisfied, and we have Psukim proving each point. So we have Kuf Mem Hey, the standing wheat field. We have point number one, the Kalu who keeps the Maz Kedushin, because she's ready to get married after the chassan dies. We have the best friend that does not going to repay the sheshbinis, because his wedding is not as big as his affair. Finally, the farmer being told that everyone needs a Bali Kama, referring to either the Gemara or the Mishnah. Daf Kuf Mem Hey, the Kama, the Chuppah happening in the wheat field.